Fellas, imagine the hottest woman in the world, and you just so happen to be on a date with her. You guys go out for dinner and drinks, the conversation is great, the chemistry is building, you guys are really clicking and connecting on a lot of different things. Then it gets to a point where you guys don't want the date to end, so what do? You two agree to go back to your place. Lucky you. You guys are talking, walking through the neighborhood, taking a look at the various sites, continuously building that chemistry. However, once you get to your door, she turns to you, looks at you, and says, I have to tell you a secret. I have herpes. What do you do then? This is the story about one woman who contracted herpes by one of her partners. Throughout the clips, we'll get her initial reaction to her diagnosis, how she maneuvers through her new life with said disease, and how she plans on breaking the stigma of herpes. You already know what to do. Go ahead and roll one up, pour up a libation, sit back and kick back with your boy Roy. Let's roll the clip.
Today, my whole life could change, and I'm scared. Friday night, I started having a burning sensation whenever I peed. Was not pleasant. So Saturday, I went to urgent care, and they put me on medication for a UTI. So I started the UTI medication on Sunday, and then that night, I noticed that my right lymph node in my groin was swollen. By Monday, the UTI meds still haven't kicked in. It still really hurt whenever I peed. So I called to make an appointment with my gyno. And it's now Wednesday. My appointment's in like half an hour. This subject is very stigmatized, has a lot of shame around it. But then I noticed warts on my genitals. Very, very painful. These last few days, I've just felt run down, icky, haven't had an appetite, uncomfortable. It hurts to walk. It hurts to sit. Everything hurts. I'm scared. If it's herpes, I know it's not the end of the world. I'm about to go to my appointment now, so I will come back with an update.
She's got every right to be scared. And I mean, listen, I know, especially on the internet, especially when we're policing or watching content like this, we like to be on the hard right of the aisle where we're like, well, you need to make sure you know who you're sleeping with. And the honest truth is that a majority of us, I myself included, we don't ask if someone's had an STD checkup. Now, should we? Absolutely. But as humans with innate desires, I know the likelihood of someone asking the person that they might sleep with if they've had an STD check is very, very low. So guys, consider that whenever you're out on dates. I mean, obviously you want to make sure that the person that you're going to be sleeping with does not have any STDs. I'm not saying that, you should be all willy-nilly when it comes to contracting things of that nature. But in this case, the best thing you can do to protect yourself is two options. Either don't have sex or wear a condom. Again, does the condom prevent absolutely all STDs from being transmitted? Not necessarily. But does it reduce your risk of STDs and pregnancy? Yes. Until people are willing to be open and honest about their current conditions, your best bet is to just err on the side of caution and either stay strapped, right? Stay strapped up, or just don't engage in it at all.
I have herpes. If I want to have unprotected sex, I have to tell them. I don't know how this is going to affect my dating life.
Most guys will still smash. I know that sounds a little wild, but I'm telling you, and again, this isn't me trying to bash men, but I know there's a large majority of us that will still smash, regardless. Like, she'll probably tell you the guidelines, like, oh, I'm not having an outbreak right now, or, it's not affecting me right now. You can still wear a condom, things of that nature. And a guy will still smash. No shame on the guy. And I mean, listen, you can't eradicate human instinct and human nature. People will find a way to do the things that they want to do. And even if you're not the guy who ends up smashing her, some other guy will.
I can't give birth vaginally if I have an outbreak. I don't know. I don't fucking know how I'm supposed to tell my parents this. It's also just fucking painful. have these outbreaks for the rest of my life. I feel like my parents are going to be so disappointed in me.
Yeah, they might.
I don't know.
You know, there's a lot of people online, like on TikTok and on other social medias, that go into full detail about their own experience with living with herpes or whatever other STD. And although on one hand, I can make the argument saying that I would commend them for stepping forward in an effort to try and break down the stigma. But at the same time, though, does it really hurt to have protected sex? Think about it. And honestly speaking, this kind of falls on the guys, because guys, as much as we want to tell women to pick better partners or do better in general when it comes to dating and relationships, a lot of the times, especially if you're a guy that women want to sleep with, they're not going to tell you to put a condom on. They will not. They will not. And even if you say it but forget to put it on, they're not going to hold it against you. Just as much as we like raw shiboing-a-boing, females like raw shiboing-a-boings too. So I think it's doubly important that us guys understand that the responsibility really does fall on us. Again, we can make the argument and tell women to try and pick better, make sure that they get their panels from every time they have intercourse, things of that nature. But from the individual perspective, the best thing we can do, or the best two things we could do in this case, are either not engage in coitus at all or wear protection when we do engage in sexual activities.
And if I tell my sexual partner I have herpes, that's their call whether they want to have unprotected sex or not. What if I never have babies because nobody wants to give me their seed now? I'm just ashamed, embarrassed. I don't know. I can't believe it. I was so naive, so stupid. I'm never gonna get an STD. This can't happen to me. And here I am, fucking herpes.
I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty funny. Because she's got a point. There's some people that you see in the streets, or just women that you walk past, you would think they don't have anything. You would think they're clean, or better yet, you would think they're absolute angels. But I'm telling you, both men and women, what we do behind closed doors is more revealing about our characters. But don't assume that the person you think is innocent is in fact innocent. A lot of us are doing a lot of debaucherous shit out here. And the unfortunate part is, when you do high-risk behavior or high-risk activities, you also get high-risk rewards. And unfortunately, one of them is an STD.
For the rest of my life. 67% of the population has it. Still.
That's a lot. No cap. That's a fucking lot.
I'm part of it now. So. Happy Wednesday.
Now, I feel bad for her. I genuinely do feel bad for her, because the reality is she probably got it from some guy who got it from another woman, and he didn't tell her, or maybe he just didn't even know. So he ended up passing it on to her. And I'm sure she be out here in these streets, but she doesn't strike me as the woman that is just knob gobbling 24/7, if you catch my drift. Yes, she might be a little promiscuous, but I don't think she's hardcore deep in these streets, in the trenches, on the blade. And you let me know what you think in the comments. I think she's in the quote unquote right when it comes to her reaction as to her being diagnosed with herpes. Again, this was probably one of those one night stands, and she probably got influenced by her friends of yeah, he's hot, go ahead, go do it, take your chances. And this is the reality of one night stands. Again, high risk behavior or high risk activities come with high risk rewards. And sometimes the rewards are absolutely shit. And they come in the form of an STD like herpes. But anyway, she's got her diagnosis here now. And we're gonna see her, not evolution per se, but so much more of her attitude and her mindset shift on having herpes and how she tries to spin it into something that's actually rather beneficial.
I have HSV1, and you're probably wondering, how did you get HSV1 down there? Oral herpes caused by HSV1 can spread from the mouth to the genitals through oral sex. Herpes is herpes. It's literally the same as having cold sores on your mouth, but just because they're on your genitals, we're thought of as lesser than, which is so stupid. It's literally the same thing, just in different areas. You can get herpes from kissing someone. You can get herpes through having sex. You can get herpes from oral. It's all the same. They're just cold sores. Just because they're in different areas shouldn't make a difference. Of course, I talked to the person who gave it to me, and they are still in the process of getting their results back because they got tested. Said he showed no symptoms and has never had a cold sore in his life. I looked it up, and I guess sometimes people with HSV1 or maybe HSV in general don't show symptoms. I don't know, I'm still learning.
So she's correct on that. Some people with HSV1 do not show symptoms, and it could lay dormant, which is, guys, super important that you get your panels and you get checked on if not on a monthly basis, at least on a quarterly basis. Like every 3 months, you're getting tested. If you're sleeping with one person, then I guess you don't necessarily have to, although I would recommend that you do. But getting tested regularly will help keep you aware of your situation. And on top of that, it'll help you become proactive in case something were to come up. But yeah, in this case for men, oftentimes than not, herpes can lay dormant within the body.
I'm going to be as careful as possible, so I still have to learn how I can transmit it, even though it's HSV1 and down there. I, want to be careful, so I still have to learn everything with that. When I was talking in my video about, I'm scared to talk to my parents, they're going to be so disappointed in me, I was definitely projecting my own stigma onto them because they didn't care. They were like, I'm sorry, that sucks. Why are you crying? So many people have it. It's not that big of a deal. They were completely understanding. There was no disappointment at all. I think that I just had that stigma and was more disappointed in myself, which I shouldn't have been because I was uneducated.
Listen, shout out to the parents for being supportive. Yeah, new age parents are crazy. I get it, 67% of people have herpes or whatever the case may be. But you can't tell me that it's cool. Let's not try to normalize STDs. Again, that's just what I'm thinking. You let your thoughts and voice be heard in the comments below, but let's try and do our best to not normalize STDs. The ultimate question is this: will both men and women take the necessary precautions in order to ensure that both people are safe when they're being intimate with one another?
Good morning. Oh God. I have I need to fix my voice. NBC reached out to me, so I have an interview with them in 20 minutes. How the fuck did this happen? I feel like it's just gonna be one of those things where throughout the day I'm gonna be thinking, fuck, I should have said this or that, and it's just gonna be replaying in my mind the whole day. I'm so nervous. I've gotten content collabs from pillow companies, which I'm not gonna do because it would not really make sense to be I have herpes, to man, I just got the best sleep of my life, dude. I just feel like I have so much to say and I don't want to forget. I'm so nervous. Okay, I'll let you know how it goes after. Yeah, no, that went really well. For some reason, I went on a tangent about Big Mouth. I don't even know. I was just I was watching Big Mouth last night, and Big Mouth talks a lot about your sexual journey and obscure topics that you don't really think of. And if they did an episode about STDs or whatever, it wouldn't be such a taboo topic. I hope for a day that if somebody has an STD or STI, that we can openly talk about it without feeling embarrassment or the fear of rejection. Anyway, I have to go tell my mom now, I think, about all of this. She doesn't quite know about TikTok or the interview, so I don't know how she'll feel about that, but we'll see. All right, so I talked to my mother, and the initial reaction was to be expected, which was shock. But then I was no, you have to see this, you have to read the comments. And she was I don't know why you think I'm gonna be disappointed in you. You're an adult, you can make your own decisions. And she was I'm gonna support you, but you have a voice now, you have a platform. You have to be careful. You don't want to spread any misinformation. You need to get your facts straight. You need to educate yourself. I thought that I was just talking to a void that would go nowhere. I feel like I've done such a minuscule part in this. Like, this video would not be what it is if it wasn't for you guys and your comments and sharing your stories. So yeah, I just want to say thank you again. I'm still learning. I'm still educating myself. And a lot of it is coming from you guys. Google only goes so far. So, yeah, thank you.
An STD that was seemingly an L has somehow turned into a W, which I gotta say, you know, we kind of just live in that era where everything is content, regardless of what it is. Content is content. So listen, if you got some shit you're going through, speak it into the void. Let your voice be heard on TikTok, YouTube, whatever the case may be, because chances are that shit might go viral. I think it's particularly interesting how, at least when I was growing up back then, if you had an STD, it was like, you're, you know, a castaway. You're supposed to be casted out of society. The mature part of me can, in some ways, see where they're coming from. Like, obviously, although you have an STD, you're still a human, so you shouldn't be treated like a leper, even though in some cases, you'd still be treated like a leper. And I think when we talk from a broad perspective, talking about all these things when it comes to men and women having STDs or just transmitting it, or even just talking about hot spots in the country that have a lot of STDs, one thing is for certain, and is that so long as the conversation continues, eventually the stigma will be broken down. Now, are you asking me if I'm in favor for the stigma being broken from STDs? Yes and no. You're gonna be mad at me here, but I gotta be honest. I like hoes. I like hoes. And I like hoes because they're honest. But the world needs more honesty, regardless. And I think if we could speak in plain English, you know, just talk about, you know, brass tacks, talk about what is what, then yeah, perhaps this will help other people not only get informed and educated about certain topics, but also put the power back in their hands. Give them the option to either want to mess around with you or not. Now, in the next clip we've got here, she does start dating again, which in my personal opinion is kind of wild because the time frame between when she gets diagnosed for STDs and then starts dating again is literally like a month and a half. We got the clip of her going back out there onto the dating scene. And guys, this is why I tell you, you need to be especially careful. Wrap your willy. I know you might not think it counts, you know, like the bodies don't count so long as you're wearing a condom. Honestly, at this point, who the fuck cares? Everyone is fucking everybody, and a majority of them have an STD, so you need to be careful. But anyway, we've got the video of her going on, or at least trying to go out on a date, and we've got the end results of that as well.
I just told somebody that I was interested in that I had herpes, and for that being like my first time like disclosing to somebody, I just wish it went a little better because I've never done that before. And like, is that how it's gonna be like every time? Like, am I gonna like a guy and then he's just, is it ever gonna get easier? Does it get easier telling people I don't know how to do this? I feel like I'm in the same.
Does it get easier telling people that your genitals look like a Nestle Crunch bar? Probably not. Probably fucking not. But hats off to you for being willing and open and honest with these people. Anyway, because just like I said before, we might as well have these conversations. Let's actually talk about it. You know why? Because the more information you have as the quote unquote potential consumer, the more power you have in being able to either deal with it or walk away. That's just the reality of it.
At least I wasn't meant to go. Like, is anybody gonna want to be with me? Just those same questions running through my head. I don't know, maybe I should have waited longer to tell him.
Nah, absolutely fucking not. See, and again, this is why you need to be careful. Even if she doesn't bring up STDs in the conversation, you as the man need to bring this up and ask her, like, and you don't have to ask it in a way that comes off crass or immature. Shit, you could even make it funny. You could look at her and be like, you got any cooties? And if she's like, what do you mean cooties? Just look at her and be like, do you know what I mean by cooties? Like, I'm giving you this grace here to gently tell me what you have so I can walk away from the situation, because a lot of people are going to go through this, both men and women. Obviously, I'm talking to guys, but a lot of women who have STDs will not tell you the first time around, or at least when they very first meet you. They will literally try to convince you to be in a relationship with them. They'll reel you in slowly and surely. And then at some point, she's gonna be like, hey, I gotta talk to you about something. I don't wanna be in a situation like that. Gentlemen, you absolutely, positively have to ask the tough questions. If you can't ask the tough questions, there's no point in even considering not only just a casual, consensual relationship, but something that could be serious going further down the road.
I don't want to fucking cry anymore. I just keep replaying it in my head. And like as soon as I told him, his whole demeanor changed. And his body language changed. And like, maybe I went about it wrong.
Moral of this story, gentlemen, we have to be careful. First of all, if you do have an STD, then yes, you do have a responsibility to disclose that information to the woman that you're seeing. Gentlemen, it's only right. But gentlemen, if you do not have an STD and you're still one of the pure bloods, then you need to ask the tough questions. You have to ask them. Do you have a recent STD panel? And on the flip side of that, you should also have your STD panel as well, because it wouldn't necessarily make sense for you to ask her if she has hers, and yet you have yet to go to the doctor to get yours cleared. So ensuring that you not only get your checkups, but ensuring that she has her checkups will just make you both safer in the long run. But again, you can't necessarily trust every pretty face you see out on the street. Some of them might have it, or just any STD in general. Some might not. The best thing you can do in this situation is either not engage in sexual activity at all, or be mature about it. Wear protection, have the tough conversation, make sure you're getting tested on a regular basis. Beyond all that, there's not really much hope out here, guys. Like the argument that you'll find a woman who's pure or innocent, all that's out the window. And if 2023 tells me anything, it tells me that 2024 and beyond will be more of the same. So guys, we gotta be careful out here. It's getting pretty bad. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. You let me know. Questions, comments, concerns, leave it in the comment section below. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your engagement. Go ahead and watch one of these other videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.